Hey friends, welcome back to Vigor Active Health Chats. This is Stephen Newhart. I'm your host. I am super excited today. I have a guest here. His name is Austin Powell. He's the Vice President of Strategic Operations for Civitas Senior Living. And if you have listened to me before, which I try not to talk too much about myself, but I love helping elderly with health. So that is where I live, but they are doing it on a much larger scale. Not just health, enjoyment, the whole, just process of living as individuals go through life. So he's here to talk to us. And Austin, thanks for joining me here. It's a pleasure having you. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Stephen, thank you for having me.
Hey, you bet, man.
Appreciate it.
So I got my business out of the way. I want to talk about you, man. I want to know, you've got this great position with this company, but where'd you start? How'd you get what shaped you, man? I mean, everything. Start from age 5.
Age 5. So start from age 5. I think for all of us, when we're looking at our future, right, it's, what is that catalyst? What defines us? And from a young age, for me, it was, I want to help people. I want to live a life of service. And, along my journey, it's kind of been articulated in different ways. So I actually started out as a youth pastor down in Cleveland, Texas. And I was at this really neat church. We had like a clinic, we had a school, and, I loved it working with the youth there, helping, at-risk teens. It was incredible. And I remember one fateful day it was Labor Day weekend, and I was sitting there, and the president from my alma mater called me out of the blue. And he's like, "Hey, is this Austin?" I'm like, "Yeah, hey, it's Austin." Who's this? "Oh, it's Dr. So-and-so." I'm like, "Okay, hey, how are you? How's your Labor Day going?" And he's like, at the university, we had this new opportunity come up, and we can't help but think of you. Would you be interested in transitioning from pastoral ministry to work at higher ed? Yeah. And I was like, wow, what an opportunity, right? Like, who has their president call them and say, "Hey, I got an opportunity for you." So I was just so humbled, and I went into it, and the university I served at, which was Southwestern Adventist University, it's south of the DFW area. It's a Hispanic serving institution. So it's really neat. I got to help with a very diverse group of students. And we saw some amazing changes where we're increasing retention, increasing, learning objectives, helping them to perform better. And so I really thrived in the student success field for quite some time. But then, my number came up and it was my turn to go up to administration. So I got to serve as the chief of staff, or the special assistant to the president, as it's called. And I did that for about 3 years, and it was just so rewarding.
You're extremely young. How old were you when you were doing this?
Yeah.
I was 18.
So I started pastoring at 20.
Okay.
I did that till I was about 25. And then for 5 years, I was in higher ed.
Wow. Wow. Awesome.
And so now I'm 30, if my math adds.
Look at all you've done. Look at all you've done already, man. Oh my gosh, it's incredible.
But I had this midlife crisis, I guess. I turned 30. Where I was, unlike you, I don't have a doctorate yet. I'm working on mine, but
you'll get it.
I was kind of like, I want to help people. How can I do that? Where can I find purpose in what I'm doing? And the opportunity came for me to transition to senior living. Sure. Which I've been doing since September, so fairly new. And man, I've never experienced so much purpose. Yeah. Right? It's just really unlocked my passion. I thought my passion was in the younger generation, but it's really that older generation, right? We call it the greatest generation because they've done so much for us.
So what are you doing over there? What's your day-to-day?
Yeah. So, over there, my official title is the Vice President for Strategic Operations. And when I first got the job, I was like, what is that? What is strategic operations?
Special ops, man.
Exactly, right? And because we have vice presidents for operations, right? So this is a different title. And what we're really looking at is kind of on a macro level, as you're looking high level of how do we do what we do and how can we do it better, right? And as we're talking about the greatest generation, our seniors, how can we serve them the best we can? Yeah. So in my role, a lot of it's mission alignment. So I work with our strategic planning, looking at our goals, all our rollouts, making sure they're aligned. And then in my role, I get the opportunity to measure, to really get on the ground floor and say, okay, is it working? We want to change the lives. We want to impact the lives of our seniors. is it actually happening?
Sure.
Or are we just doomed to do it, right?
Sure. Yeah. That's good that that's analyzed. I'm glad to hear that that is something that actually gets looked at, because we start doing things and we're doing right, but then you step in and you say, is it, like you're saying, is it working? Is it working the way that we're intending it to be? So senior living as a whole, right? Let's obviously Civitas is doing great things, but senior living as a whole, what's the overall goal? What are some overall goals of just, hey, and really, how long has senior living been a thing? Like locations. How long have we been doing this in, let's say, in America?
Wow.
Do you know that?
That's a good question. I don't know that part.
Sorry to throw a question at you, because I'm curious. Because at some point it's like, oh yeah, we aged in our homes and that was it. Now somewhere along the line, we started saying, hey, you can come to this really nice community where there's people here that can help you and things like that. But I don't know when that even really started.
Man, that's a great question. I'm not sure when it started. I'll have to do my homework too. But, I know Civitas as a company, we've been together over 10 years.
Okay.
And so I know for sure longer than 10 years. but
at least 10 years. I mean, and your company's fairly big. How many locations do you guys have now?
Yeah, we have 35 communities.
Wow.
Primarily in the DFW area.
Okay.
But a little bit all over the place.
So even just looking at 10 years, because you're a fairly big organization, even just 10 years ago, what if we said this has only been a thing for 20 years? What if the first one thought about it 10 years before you guys? And, so for maybe even in 2000, the year 2000 and after is when we really started thinking about, we could have better places for people to go and somewhat retire, or whatever word you want to put on it, but live out the rest of their days. Mm-hmm. Do you guys offer like assistance at your communities? Is it assisted living? Are there nurses and things like that? Yeah. Just because I don't know all about them, I'm curious.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. Great question. So, I'm almost thinking back in the day, what probably happened was, there's kind of that in between point, almost like you could think of puberty, right? It's that like awkward in between of where, they're at home, but they can't really live at home by themselves and they need a little assistance. Mm-hmm. But they're not really at the level of acuity needing like a SNF, right? Like a nursing home.
Sure.
So like at Civitas Senior Living, we have really 3 levels. It's independent living, which is really like senior apartments.
Okay.
But they have their food cooked for them. I mean, there's this community activities. I really this quality of life.
Yeah.
That's hard to find, right?
Yeah.
And just amazing chefs. I mean, I love when someone else cooks for me more than when I have to cook, And then you have your assisted living, which is you need some more help, right? And that's a more of assisted. And then we also have memory care, which is included, which is the families, which, our CEO always talks about the hole in their hearts, right? When they transition. And we see a lot of that in our memory care. When we have loved ones, my grandma on my wife's side, she actually has dementia. And so we have them in these assisted living communities, and in the memory care, they get this service, right? Where it gets to keep their dignity.
Yeah.
They get loved on, they get these activities, they get this quality of life. That'd be really hard to have at home.
Sure. So it's, when it says memory care, it's individuals that have, essentially trouble with their memory. You said dementia.
Alzheimer's.
Exactly. Okay. So what kind of, I don't know, put you on the spot, what kind of activities do they do when somebody in a memory care situation?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, there's a lot of different things. There's the one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And I think also just taking a step back here is how do we view dementia, right? And there's been a lot of great studies on how there's different levels. There's the gym, where they break it down by different types of gyms on how they act. And forgive me, I forgot some great scientists put together, and I forgot her name. But I know a lot of people utilize this gym way to categorize where they're at in their dementia, disease. I hate using that word, but that's what it is.
Sure.
But based on that, there's different things. So a lot of times you'll have some residents who want to interact with other people. But a lot of times what you find for dementia is that one-on-one. Mm-hmm. So you'll break it out with different group activities. So you can do like a group activity, which will do like noodle ball, have a ball on the ground and have some little noodles and get to hit it, and kind of a really fun game for all the residents, but some residents where they are in their stage of dementia don't want to interact with that.
Yeah.
So then it's developing that one-on-one, creating that experience for them to feel engaged, to feel loved, to feel important, right? That's really important as we're looking at the activities that we're developing.
It sounds like you guys are doing amazing things over there. I mean, this is great. Yeah. I was just, okay, senior living. And then I would think about that and just kind of didn't know all the day-to-day that was actually happening there, which was amazing.
And I'd have to say, I think everyone I talked to across the industry, everybody I talked to said it's a calling.
Yeah.
If your heart's not in it, if you're not there for the right place, which I can imagine is much with fitness as well, right? It's a calling to help people be better.
I question, because you said something when you started that I say, if I ever get interviewed, like I had just what do you want to do? I want to help people. I don't know what that is or what that means, and then running into exercise and exercise science and things, you realize you can kind of turn the body back. You can anti-age it. You can, with enough blood flow, with enough stimulation of the muscles, you really don't have to get old. Well, in this age, we're going to see that because now so many more people exercise. Absolutely. And in 50, 60 years, we'll see what kind of impact that has on the body. If you consistently exercise your whole life, what is it like when you hit 90? Can you still briskly move around? Are you able to squat, stand still, pick things up? Can you literally live independently? You've seen some that really kept up with it over their time that seem to, I'm still independent and I'm 90 years old and nothing ever happened where I had to be dependent on somebody. But it's interesting. Yeah, we'll have to kind of see. And that's why I love meeting you, because I would love to work with you in some way. And we're going to work together and figure out how can we extend the life of the aging. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there now. And obviously there's a dietary component to this whole thing where they're saying, okay, you got to cut this out, got to cut that out, got to do this. Yeah. But, how serious you want to get on that, who knows? But it's exciting. It's an exciting world that you're living in. What about the future of your company? What are you guys thinking what do you want it to become? Or is it what it's supposed to be right now and that's where it'll stay?
Yeah, that's a great question. And probably above my pay grade, to be honest. But, I think really for us, it goes back to our mission, which is passion care, passion cleanliness, and passion service. And so for us, as long as every single resident who comes through our doors, we're giving them a world-class experience where they're able to experience quality of life, where they feel loved, they feel at home, we're in the right place. Yeah. And what does that look like? I don't know. But as long as we're providing that, we're doing the right thing.
Okay. And I think you will. So if you have people, if you wanted to say anything to, or, who are you looking for to come to your company to help you with your mission? Yeah. The types of person, team members.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you have a heart and you're passionate about helping others, you want to serve and you want to make a difference, then senior living is a place for you.
Yeah.
And I'll share a quick little story here, a personal story. So my great grandparents, they're in their upper 80s. They just moved to assisted living. Now they're in California. I wish they were in Texas or they'd be one of our communities. But, it was so hard on my grandparents. They were leaving their home. They felt like they were leaving their family, their independence, their dignity, everything. And then I talked to my grandpa and he's like, I love it here. He has community, he has friends. And it's that moment. That's why we do what we do. And if you want to create that miracle moment, that moment of community for someone else, then senior living is the place to be.
Well, you guys keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for being here and joining me. We'll catch you
Absolutely.
next
Thank you,
time.
Steve.
Okay. Thanks for your time. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.